This is great. You guys are going to love listening to this right now. I'm going to play it for you. Here you go. This is the press briefing.
He's absolutely running.
Yeah. Well, he's saying that, and I'm sharing with you his view.
And we would invite the president to come here and tell us that directly.
Noted, Kelly.
But
he's awake.
That's inappropriate.
As you heard from your colleague.
So she says, we'd invite him to come here. And another reporter goes, if he's awake. Yo, they have turned on the Biden administration.
And her. That
Yeah.
nasty girl, Pierre.
See, that
Jean
reporter,
Pierre's the worst press secretary I've ever seen.
She's just so mean.
I was gonna say that reporter is making me laugh because she is like, we would like to hear directly from Biden, and then she hears the if he's awake, there's a pause. She's like, that's inappropriate. See, Corinne, I'm on your side. Do me a favor. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of this right now.
Please, yeah.
Because even these mainstream outlets, like we're seeing a lot of reports from the New York Times that are saying like, these conversations going on with Biden and whatever. It will look really, really, really bad for any mainstream media outlet that wants to pretend like they have any semblance of credibility if they continue to be like, and everything is fine.
They have no semblance of credibility, though. That's it. I mean, I think of all we saw of Russiagate and the hoax that was, all we dealt with COVID and what happened there. This is like the third huge moment that the media is on trial. And at this point, the media has no credibility left because Carl Bernstein, right, from Carl Bernstein fame, saying that, I've known at least 15 or 20 episodes, the president. Well, how come there was no deep throat on that, Carl? How come there was no racing to full page articles of the Washington Post on that, Carl? Because they all felt the need to protect the president. Yeah. So they protect Fauci. They protect. So the media has the lowest favorability rating they've had in history. And at this point, the media should just be unplugged. They are genuinely the enemy of the American people.
CNN, though, I've got a little bit of hope at CNN right now. The way they handled the debate was pretty unbiased, and the way they're letting Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper speak the truth about what they're perceiving with Biden is kind of impressive. And if they can keep this up, I would be very, very happy.
Do you think that that's them being unbiased, or do you think it's them realizing that they cannot continue to lie for this administration?
That's a great point, and I think it's more the latter.
It's tough to tell.
Because we all want to have a redemption arc for all kinds of institutions in America. We'd love for us to be a society that lives peacefully and trusts, that we're all working together for harmony. But ultimately, I think if the news media is turning on Biden, the Biden administration, it's because they do not believe that they can continue lying for them.
Maybe I think that they are on a crusade to improve their credibility because CNN's floundering and tanking. And I was Jeff Zucker.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, and he was like the guy that kind of made it entertainment. Like
I thought Chris Licht was gone and Zucker was in.
Zucker? No,
Zucker was before Licht.
And
now
Licht is gone, too.
Right, Licht is gone. So it's like, I don't even know who
So they got some new person, and maybe they're like, you know what? We're making this legit. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of making this.
They got a clean house. If they clean house, I say, okay. If you get rid of Caitlin Collins, Jake Tapper, and Dana Bash, and who else do they have left? Just get rid of them all. All gone.
Anderson, Cooper.
Anderson, gone. You get rid of all those people, I'll watch CNN.
But to your point,
and apologize.
To your point, if this is the third time the media's been on trial, I feel like the first two, like with Russiagate and everything like that, that was actually conservatives starting to be like, oh, things are going on. This seems to be the first one that Democrats and independents are like, oh, wait, you told us everything was fine, and it seems as though it is not fine.
Yeah.
We don't know if we believe you anymore.
They didn't just say it was fine. 2 weeks ago, they were calling these deep fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes. 2 weeks ago, they were saying a vast right-wing conspiracy, right-wing propaganda. 2 weeks ago, they were saying that. Now they're like, wow, yeah, we've known for quite some time.
Right.
How do you have any
Corinne
credibility?
Jean-Pierre yesterday said, well, I didn't say cheap fakes. The media came up with that. I just repeated what the media said. They were the ones quoting her saying that. I mean, it's so much deception that I think even the White House can't keep up with it at this point. And it's to the detriment of the American people. Like we were talking about before the show, it's all Biden. Biden is dominating the news cycle. Now, in part, everyone's taking off for vacation, including people in the media who'd be writing stories, but also there is stuff going on. It's just no one can take their eyes off this car crash right now. And in some ways that leaves a lot of the American people uninformed about what's going on in their communities. I mean, if it's Maryland school districts saying we don't want this AP African-American course or, which state, I can't even remember off the top of my head, introducing, was it Louisiana introducing you have to include biblical teachings in curriculum now?
Like, have the 10 Commandments in the classrooms, yeah.
There's been a couple different ones this week, and it's just like, but everything going on with Biden is such a main stage disaster. That stuff isn't getting attention. I mean, that's actually the news media failing the American people.
And this is not what our founders intended. Right. And that's the biggest problem, maybe the day before the 4th of July. They hated the idea of a big central government. They hated the idea of an all-powerful administrative state. I mean, we are United States. We are not a federal government of Washington, D.C. of America. And so the only way I think of ending this for good, and you mentioned Vivek before, and I hope he is actually chief of staff would be my ideal position for him, because it is really an administrative one, and it's a visionary one. And great chiefs of staff have done very impactful things for good or for ill. That would be my hope for Vivek. But he's the one who talks the most about this, is the dismantling of this. The reason why every election is the most important election of our time is because we have $6-7 trillion in spending that is all going to crap projects. That's all going to bribe governors right now. What do you think they talked about with the Democrat governors? Right? Money. Everything is in D.C. All the money, all the power.
And those governors came out and said, we got Joe's back because he's got ours. And what they really meant was he promised them funding, so everything's fine.
And it's not at all what our founders intended when they had this vision of this country. They envisioned powerful. Your governor should be the most powerful person, if you want to look at it in that sense, because you have a lot more say in who your governor is than you do in who the president does. And your mayor should be the second most important one. And that's where all the power should be concentrated, because it's your community and your people and people who are your neighbors. Instead, everything is concentrated in. You can't even choose a damn textbook without Washington, D.C. But you can't build a bridge. We're stuck with the bridge in Baltimore because of D.C. How are we at the stage that the governor of Maryland is like, I can't build the bridge until D.C. makes it this? Build your own damn bridge, right?
Yeah.
Everything is in D.C. Everything is in D.C. And boy, our founders have to be very disappointed that that's what we've become, because now Joe Biden is a little George III. Right? He has decided you shall not sell liquid natural gas anymore. I have deemed it so. This whole argument of him being apoplectic about the Supreme Court ruling on immunity, I don't believe a president is all powerful. BS, you don't. You have passed some rules or enacted legislation. I don't think you should be able to sell this anymore. I want to shut down those coal mines. Who the hell are you to shut down a coal mine? I'm the president. Oh, our founders would be rolling in their graves if they saw how powerful the federal government has become.
Failing. The Baltimore
got to be
Bridge
destroyed.
The Baltimore Bridge collapse is a perfect spectacle for Biden to be like, look, build back better. Here's how we're going to get it done. That's not happening.
No.
The states aren't doing it. Biden's not doing it. It's a failure on all fronts. They still don't know how that even happened, how the cargo ship just ran into one of the support piers. You know, it's tragic. And if you ask anyone from Maryland, I grew up around here, they can tell you how just impactful that's been for traffic.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere anymore without sitting in traffic now in Baltimore, and that's one of the biggest ports in this country. It's a tragedy, and it's crazy because it was like a gift. Like, here, show us your vision. You know, he wanted to be FDR. We'll do it now.
Yeah, and it's probably will take 10 years if they're lucky to build the bridge back. Right,
That's never coming back.
If they even build it back.
The incompetence and the managerial degradation that we're seeing in this country. Yeah, it's not coming back. I mean, like 30 years. If Trump comes in and gives us marginal victories, then we're on the path towards restoration in that regard. But I don't see that thing coming back anytime soon.
No, and that's a great example of just the crumbling overall nature of the country. And it's all because everything is concentrated in this one city, and we have to get 55 senators to vote on a bridge in Maryland. Holy crap, what the hell do I, if I'm the senator of, maybe if I'm Virginia, right? Or maybe if I'm a local state, but if I'm the senator of Wyoming and you're like, wait, I have to go to the floor to vote on funding for a bridge in Maryland? I care about Wyoming. I tweet all the time at Senator Kane, who's up for re-election in my great state of Virginia. When do you ever talk about Virginia? You talk about Ukraine, and you talk about Israel, and you talk about, you're a senator of the world. Just talk about Virginia just once.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you should go to D.C. with this vision, why does this help the people of Virginia? And if you can't make me the case why it helps the people of Virginia, then what the hell am I doing here? We're going to have a hearing on whether or not apples in Wisconsin can be imported to South Korea. What the hell am I at this hearing for? But this is all the stuff they occupy themselves on all day. The whole trans movement. We have to have a hearing on girls and sports. Very important issue. Why is this
handled at the state level?
Why is it
right?
a DC? Everything is DC. Mm-hmm. Everything is in DC.
I mean, in part, it's because federal money runs throughout so much, right? Anything that accepts federal money is beholden to Washington, D.C., and unfortunately, a ton of our institutions ultimately accept federal money. And I don't think people realize how far-reaching that is, and that's almost to the detriment of the American people, because anytime the federal government doesn't give money without strings, and we're ultimately all giving up some kind of autonomy when you accept that the federal government is going to come in and tell you what to do. But I think you're right, especially with the trans sports issue. There was a huge movement with the Safe Women's Sports Act, rolled out slightly differently, but independently states were saying this is how we want to handle that. And I think that is much more in line with what the founding fathers wanted for our country. I think that is not what especially the modern day DNC wants for the American people. They want to be able to say, you go to this one place, we decide, and everyone has to fall in line, and that's it. Yeah. And to that end, I think the American people are sort of disillusioned with that, right? I don't think they look at the federal government as serving their needs. It's like, how do I avoid being in the crosshairs of what the government is trying to force us to do? How do I stay away from it as much as possible?
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.